You can't beat the classics.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. I almost forgot the episode number, but it's episode number 15 of You Can't Beat the Classics podcast. Good thing I checked. I literally went into Spotify and had to check what episode number it was. 15 episodes down. We're getting there. A lot of movies to talk about this, so there's going to be a lot of episodes, I think. George and Mike are back with me. What's up, guys?
Howdy.
Hi.
What's up? All right. So you guys, we're diving into a movie I've never seen before up until this point. But I think you guys, I know George does, have a lot more history with this movie than I do. The movie we're going to be talking about today is 1996's Mission Impossible, directed by Brian De Palma. Never heard that name until now, but directed by him nonetheless. So we know that this is the first time I've ever seen this. When's the first time for each one of you that you saw Mission Impossible?
When it came out.
I didn't see it in the movies. I saw it, like, we rented it from the movie store.
Yeah. My parents rented it and left it out, and I watched it. Had no idea what was going on.
Yeah. 1996. I would have just been 5 years old when this came out.
Yeah.
So
I
mean, I will say I went to Jurassic Park in the movies, but that was a couple of years later.
Wow.
Yeah, that must have been fun. But
I watched it at home, so I don't know. I really enjoyed the movie when I was younger.
Yeah, so it's no secret that this would go on to become a franchise, and this ended up being the third highest grossing film of 1996. And it spawned, oh my god, I don't even know how many movies there are. There's like
Georgie just
six?
walks that pop, that
6 or 7
Funko Pop in the frame. You're unreal.
Nice.
King Steve.
Okay.
The Steve Harrington. Anyway.
Some Stranger Things going on in there. Anyway.
Yeah, it was a big movie for its time.
Yeah.
Apparently.
So, like, right off the bat, the one thing you'll notice about, I'm just going to say, like, this age of movies, because there's a lot of movies in this genre around this time, because, let's say, like, special effects isn't exactly where it is these days, even for the time. I don't really think it was that great. But, like, a lot of the stunts, I would say probably, like, 95% of the stunts in this have no CGI. And they're all like practical stunts and all that stuff. So,
I mean, just think of the movies that it had to compete with that year. It had to compete with Independence Day, Twister,
Huge.
The Rock, and The Nutty Professor, and Ransom.
Huge.
But I mean, I'd say the only one of those that are really comparable are Ransom and Mission Impossible as far as effects go.
Yeah, because Independence Day does have a lot of CGI.
So does Twister. So does Nutty Professor.
Right? But even then, like, go ahead.
Tom Cruise managed to sneak on this list twice. He got in for Mission Impossible and Jerry Maguire.
Jerry Maguire is a great flick too.
Yeah.
This is also kind of like, like towards the end of peak Tom Cruise, and then he picks it, and then he like lulls, and he comes right back up in the cinema, right?
Yeah, he started doing like, what was it, Vanilla Sky, and all those other like random like off movies.
Yeah,
but
there's like
also Mission Impossible 2 was terrible. Don't forget that too.
Yeah,
Mission Impossible 2 was.
Yeah, But like, so Tom Cruise was like coming off of, like some really big movies a couple years before, and then this is like the tail end of that, and then he kind of goes into a lull, and then like in the late '90s, early 2000s, he starts to come back into cinema like really strong. So
Yeah, so I'm surprised at how long it took me to get into this, but honestly, spy movies or like movies around this type are ones that I was like not particularly interested in. Like even like stuff like James Bond, never caught on to it. I know George, you say this is better than
the
James Bond.
Mission Impossible killed James Bond. James Bond had a chance when Mission Impossible had their little lull, where they had Mission Impossible 2, and then it was like, hey, let's move off of that. James Bond casted was Daniel Craig. They pumped out. What was the first one they pumped out? That was really good. Quantum of Solace, I think it was.
yeah.
And then Skyfall was okay. The music was better than the movie for Skyfall.
I know,
right?
yeah.
And then he comes back with Mission Impossible with Rogue Nation, and it's like, oh, hot damn.
Yeah, Rogue Nation is.
And then Ghost Protocol just shoves it up your ass. If you're anyone who liked James Bond, Ghost Protocol just said "fuck you," and then Fallout was the dagger. Because then before Fallout came out, they were like, "We only got one more James Bond. We're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so like going back to this movie though, it's a movie very much of its time, right? So like we'll get into it a little more, but the directing, the acting, all that stuff is very much of its time. We lost Bison's
No, I'm here. Hold on, I just misclicked. My bad.
Okay. We're good.
So when you think of that, you're like, okay, early mid '90s. Like, what do you expect? Well, the writing is actually really decent in this movie, in my opinion. And as we get into it, we'll see that. But like some of the directing is just a little weird. But I would say that it's just of its time. Like some of the fight scenes are a little bit weird. Some of the leading on, some of the angles, you're like, it's not really clear what's going on here. But I would say that the dialogue and the interaction between characters makes up for that. I think it's really, really great follow through.
I'm interested to hear what John has to say.
I know what John's gonna say, and I'm not here for it.
Or would you rather just dive in and then as we're going, you break it down?
So before I say anything, we gotta watch the trailer real quick. So I'll share my thoughts right after this.
Momentarily.
Good morning, Mr. Phelps. This is your mission should you choose to accept it. Should you or any member of your IM force be caught or killed, the Secretary will disavow all knowledge of your actions. Ethan Hunt will be your point man, as usual. Good luck, Jim.
Never happened.
Simple game. Is he serious?
Always.
It's much worse than you think.
We're being ambushed. Abort, that's an order. They knew we were coming. Do you read me?
I don't care how he did it. I want to know why he did it. You're worried about me. Why you survived.
I'm sure we can find something I have that you need.
No one sent me.
These guys are trained to be ghosts. Let's not waste time chasing after him. Let's make him come to us. Find something that's personally important to him and you squeeze. This whole operation was a decoy.
Didn't happen.
I can understand you're very upset. You've never seen me very upset.
Yes!
Tape will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
Okay. Before you hop in, John, I want to say seeing all of the trailers and seeing all of the Mission Impossibles, the one they kept true to that in every trailer, in every movie. The opening sequence for Mission Impossible in every movie gives you every plot point. If you pay attention, the opening sequence, they do the entire movie in the plot point. You know everything that's going to happen. There's no spoilers. They show you what's going to happen, but they don't show you how you get to where you are. And in the trailer, they stay true to it, and they show you the end, they show you the middle, they show you the beginning, they tell you the entire plot of the movie in the trailer. It's maybe not in order, it's maybe a little deceiving because everyone dies the first 10 minutes, but like that's what Mission Impossible is. They tell you what they're gonna do, they just don't tell you how, which I think
I also
seeing that is cool.
I also want to hop in too and just say, like, literally the first 25 seconds of that trailer for the mid 90s, the amount of star power that they have in this movie is phenomenal.
Didn't use any of it.
Didn't use any of it. I know. I just think it's wild because, like, you look at them, you got like literally like 6 or 7 like main action stars coming into this movie, and you're just like, man, if you're watching this trailer and you're seeing all this action, you're seeing all this stuff, and you're just hyped. Like that got me hyped. I've already seen it.
Yeah. What do you think the selling point for Emilio was? Like, hey, dude, we want to put you in this huge action movie after we just put you in like this weird out of nowhere Mighty Ducks movie that took off. We want to put you in this huge action movie. Oh, cool. Who am I going to be the star? No, you're only going to be in it for 5 minutes, bro.
Yeah, like I think it's funny. Like he's like, all right, so I'm reading the script. Page 3 looks like my last line. Where do I come back?
You know which cast choice surprised me the most was Jean Reno. I'm like, oh my! I didn't know he was in this. I'm like, oh my god, the French guy from the 1998 Godzilla.
Yeah, but
Leon the Professional too. And I was like, oh damn! I'm like, good choice.
Yeah, and there's some pretty big plot points around him too in this movie. It's pretty good.
Anyway, John, your thoughts?
Yeah. All right. So here's what happened with me with this movie. I couldn't watch this movie in one sitting. And I kind of expressed this in the chat a little bit. Like, the dialogue in this movie, those are the points where I had to take breaks. I said, I can't listen to this. I'm like, I'm getting bored. I'm like, but I wanted the action is what I wanted. I knew it was there because that's just what Mission Impossible is. And so, like, I feel like I had to, like,
let me ask dialogue. Let me ask you this about the dialogue. Have you ever seen GoldenEye?
No.
GoldenEye was the spy movie of the 90s, right?
Right.
Terrible dialogue.
The worst dialogue of all time. I think it's just like Mike said, it's part of the 90s. Dialogue wasn't like too intricate. Although I will say, it is tough, right? Because it's like, why is Emilio Estevez even talking about this woman's eyes with contacts in? But everything Tom Cruise spit out had like a purpose.
Right.
Everything he said had a purpose. And like, it was, sometimes it came off as like cliche in 90s, but like everything he did, and we'll get into it later, but everything he did was so calculated and like, oof. If he had Pierce Brosnan's looks, if only. But anyway, what else were you feeling? I know you definitely had a hard time getting through this one.
Yeah, but you know what? It was those. I wasn't super harsh on it because I knew this was the first movie. It was the 90s, so I wasn't super harsh on it. So I didn't love this movie, but I was here for it. I was like, you know what? I'm like...
Okay, so let me ask you this. Do you like the character Ethan?
Yes.
So, and I think that's more what it is. So they put him in an impossible situation here, and he finds his way out of it, out of the whole team. He finds his way out of it. And I think that is what spawned the series, not so much anything else. Like this movie was hype, it had star power, it has like the foundation of to be something great. But the fact that more people were like, dude, Ethan Hunt is nuts, right? Like everything he did was calculated, everything he did had purpose, and then like at the end you can like they show like little glimpses and he's talking and saying something different, but they're putting little glimpses of stuff together and like referencing back. And I think that like the character himself launched the franchise. I don't necessarily. It could have been any character in any novel, and it would have launched the franchise because he was just that good.
Yeah, it was definitely a character movie,
right?
For sure. As it goes on, though, they do become better overall movies. Like the Ghost Protocol trilogy it's unmatched by anything.
But they get Simon Pegg too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Jeremy Renner and Henry Cavill.
So once you get like Simon Pegg in there, it becomes more of like a really good action movie with decent situational comedy, because Simon Pegg does that really well. And I think that helps to develop the movies as well, because he becomes the gadget guy and he becomes like, like the Q or whatever, the Z, whoever it is in GoldenEye that does it. But like he becomes that guy, but it's Simon Pegg, so you can understand like it's gonna have awkward conversation. He's gonna say stupid crap, but it's all gonna be funny and it's gonna be situational.
So we'll start getting into it here, George. I feel like I should let you take the reins on this for the most part, since you know this movie probably better than the both of us. And well, first off, I'll say what I really liked about the movie is, all right. First off, that opening, badass.
Oh yeah, your omission should you choose to accept it.
That theme song, badass.
It's historic.
And I really loved the action scenes in this. With the in that vault. I mean, that wasn't so much action, just a lot of tension there. When they're in that weird vault with the temperature control and all that.
Oh, the CIA.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome, and the
helicopter
train,
in the tunnel,
the helicopter and the train,
is wild.
Really great.
The part where the whole team's getting taken out is kind of crazy too, because like they're just at this white collar event, like and like explosions start happening and people start getting taken out. It's pretty crazy.
Well, since you brought it up, let's just dive right in.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, so it starts off with Jim Phelps, played by John Voight. He literally just finished a mission, so now he's being briefed before he presents it to his team on somebody's trying to steal. They call it the knock list. So that's literally a list of like all the people that fall under this espionage agency that they work for.
So that's a main theme in every movie is the knock list. So it's very important to remember that the knock list is the names of every secret undercover agent, so that everyone will know their true identities. Yeah. That is the theme of every single Mission Impossible movie. Is that Ethan's team's sole job is to defend the knock list.
Okay. So I mean, So this first he presents this mission to this whole team of spies, essentially. Ethan Hunt being one of them, played by Tom Cruise. So the mission starts off in the Czech Republic, and this is where these guys eventually start getting all taken out one by one by one.
Disdain in John's voice.
So like it kind of opens up showing you what they do, right? Like where they have the masks and everything, and it's laying the foundation of like they're advanced, but they're not. Where like other movies had like GoldenEye had the laser watch, right? Like they don't got that shit. They're kind of grounded.
Are you shitting me? Dude, they got ultra realistic silicone masks that mold to your face and voice changers. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, they don't have a laser watch.
Yeah.
Well, Tom Cruise is like disguised. Tom Cruise disguised as some senator.
They have a serum that killed a hooker and then brought her back to life.
Yeah, why? That's unreal. Like, she didn't actually die. They just slowed her down for a minute, and then they gave her some fucking adrenaline and woke her up. I think it's more grounded than some movies. It's not like Aliens from Independence Day coming in, where Independence Day won movie of the year financially, or Twister, where the fucking Twister had a mind of its own, right? Like it's a little more grounded than that. How about that? Is that fair?
Fair.
Where like they're showing you that they have masks, they have voice changers, and then they immediately go into the gum, red light, green light. That's
and the glasses.
The glasses with the camera on the arch. That's it though. They don't really have any other.
Well, they have
and they show
have
you them all.
the camera watch. They have the video watches.
Well, they show
have
you
the
that
contacts.
too. And yep, they show you the contact. What I'm saying is they show you all the trinkets that they're going to use in the entire movie in the first 5 minutes. There's no secret punches that they're pulling out of left field, and it's all fairly grounded.
It's because the tech guy dies in the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Well,
he got it bad.
He got. And then
I'm like, what type of elevator has these spikes? Like, unless it's a special elevator.
That's what they used to do. That's how they'd absorb elevators moving at a high speed. I've Googled it. So the elevator moves at a high speed, and it
has like hydraulic stops.
Yeah, that was used to stop the elevator.
It wasn't like a security spike to kill people on the top of the.
I was like, is this standard for every elevator?
That's how in the 90s you would stop the elevator if for some reason it wasn't stopping and the brakes didn't work. That was the kind of last defense to keep it from just hitting the top and the rope snapping.
All right.
But then you see all this. They're all joking, having Chinese food, whatever, going over their mission, and then 5 minutes later, the entire plan gets bogarted because of one guy apparently. They're hunting one guy who's trying to steal the knock list, and they end up taking it first or whatever. And one by one, they all just keep meticulously dying. It's kind of weird. It was weird. I remember this was the part that threw me off when I was a kid and I saw this. Was like, if they had a mission and it was one guy, how are they all dying when no one was supposed to know they were there? It was weird.
Right. Like the tech guy died from the elevator spikes. I think Jim Phelps recorded somebody shooting him, and then he fell over the side of the bridge.
No, he shot himself.
Well, we find that out. We find that out later.
Yeah, right. Like the way it looks is that he's been shot, and then he shows his hands covered in blood.
Somebody's killed by a car bomb.
Yeah, and then someone gets stabbed at the gate.
Yep.
And then theoretically that's it. No, that's it. The love interest was supposed to be in the car.
Right. This ends up leading to, Ethan essentially being the sole survivor of this IMF team. And this is when he's found out by their director, Kittredge, that that the whole operation was a setup to lure out the mole.
That's why in the trailer I said it didn't happen, because he didn't say the whole setup was a decoy. He said the whole setup was a mole hunt. Yes. And then Kittredge whispers, and you're the only one who lived. And it's like, oh fuck.
Dude, some of the best lines in this whole movie happen when him and Kittredge are sitting in that restaurant together talking. And I'm like sitting there at the edge of my sofa, and it's unreal. Like the dialogue between them and how quickly you can see Ethan's mind is changing when before anything happens, he's recognizing the people around the room. He's talking to Kittredge. He's like, oh my gosh.
Wait, he recognized that the people in the room were at the fucking party.
And like,
How dope is that?
And then like you can see him working the room before, like while Kittredge is still talking. And you're like, you're like, this is crazy.
Yeah, that was wild.
And then the best line, I sent it to George when I was watching it. It's like, if you want to shake hands with the devil, that's fine. I just want to make sure you do it in hell. I love that line, man.
That's not a bad line. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
I like when he looks at him dead in the eyes and is like, Kittredge, you've never seen me very upset. And it's like,
You've never seen me.
It's so condescending. While at the same time, like, I'm going to beat the shit out of you.
I feel like knowing, all right, first time watching this, like he's walking into that cafe, restaurant, or whatever.
Expecting to be extracted.
Gallons of water around this restaurant. I'm like, that's going to blow up. I was like, you don't. I'm like, it was so obvious. It's like, that's gonna blow up.
Watches though, because I was like, how does one fish tank have that much water? But
I was gonna say the same thing. So like when I was watching it too, I was like, it kind of threw me off because I was like, that's a lot of freaking water for just like one pretty average sized fish tank.
Yeah, I had to watch it again. It apparently it was the ceiling was the fish tank too, and the walls were the fish tank, so it must have just broke all the glass.
Restaurant.
It's a big insurance bill.
Right.
But then Ethan's on the run. Now Ethan's like, oh shit, son.
Yeah, so all right, so this is the part of the plot where I start to get confused. Well, all of this is surrounding, as part of something called Job 314.
No, he thought it was Job 314.
He thought it was Job 314.
It's told to us that it's Job 314 from Phelps, and then he goes back to the hideaway or wherever the rendezvous was supposed to be, and he's trying to figure out what the fuck Job 314 was so that he could figure out this mole hunt situation. And then all of a sudden, all of a sudden the bitch shows up, right?
Yeah, when she supposedly died in the car bomb.
Yeah, and he freaks the fuck out. And then once he kind of sort of trusts her, he looks up and he sees the Bible. And then he just starts rifling off emails in every language to Job 314, which by the way is not how email works, but it might have in the 90s. I don't fucking know. But it's like
pre-internet. I have no idea.
You could have sat me in that room for a month, and I would have never pieced that together. A month.
No clue.
Like how many lifelines do I get? Because I would use them all twice. But yeah, that's the next part, and then from there, he kind of just steps into Phelps's role, right? Like, oh, you wanted the knock list. I'll find a way to get you the knock list.
Yeah.
So that becomes the primary part of the movie.
And all of this is centered around apparently the arms dealer that the mole is working with named Max. So after Claire shows up at the safe house, and she has to explain to Ethan that Jim contacted her saying that the mission was compromised. So that stopped her from getting killed.
Yeah, so when the team dies, Jim sends out a message to everyone saying abort, abort, abort. And then Ethan has nowhere to go, so he goes to the safe house that they were going to abort to. However, she arrives at the correct time. They weren't supposed to meet there until 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And that's what she's screaming is, it's 0300. We were supposed to meet at 0300, blah, 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 blah. But Ethan hasn't slept in 2 days, so he's freaking the fuck out and trying to still piece this shit together.
No, he was spazzing. But he arranges a meeting with this Max. And he tries to warn her that supposedly she has the knock list.
Half of it.
And Hunt is trying to warn her that the list that she has is fake and it has a tracking device.
Mm-hmm.
And Max thinks Ethan's full of shit.
But they trust but verify.
She realizes that Hunt was telling the truth.
Yep.
And then they escape together.
So basically,
from Kittredge,
he's kind of feeling that he was set up by his team, and then the organization he's with sees him as a liability. So he makes friends with someone that essentially he can arrange to get out of where he is, because that's the only way he's going to do it. So he basically, he's like, I know something over here is messed up. My organization doesn't trust me. I need this person's leverage to get me out of here. Is really all he did.
Well, the conditions too of the deal that he makes with Max is A, you pay me a shit ton of money more than you were going to pay Job, and B, I get to meet Job in person, because he knows whoever Job is the guy, and he doesn't. I don't think he knows just yet if it's Kittredge or if it's someone on his team who faked their death, but he knows something's fucky, and and we'll get to it later. But like, that was the point of the deal. Is he knows Job is the bad guy, and as the audience, you're right, John. The first time you watch it, it's a lot to kind of take in. There's a lot of different angles coming.
There's a lot happening in that.
But you know, you got to figure out who the fuck Job is.
Right. And like now, you're like, okay, so we don't like Max, but like she's a necessary evil, right?
Yeah. Need her.
But
Max pays him, so now he has to hire a team, because you don't know it yet, but he's about to go steal the knock list for real.
Yeah, he convinces Max that he could get the real knock list, but he wants $10 million, and he wants Job's true identity. So this is where he has to put that team together to end up breaking into that pretty serious vault that I was
the second ream of A tier actors.
Yeah, so you got your hacker, you got your new hacker, Stickle. I think it was played by. I was like, oh no, that's it's Marcellus Wallace.
Oh, Ving Rhames.
Yeah. And then they got the pilot. Yeah. His last name is Stickle. Luther Stickle.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. And then you got the pilot, Franz Krieger, played by Jean Reno.
Yeah.
So this movie is really all over the place too. Like, first they're in Russia, then they're in Prague. Now they're at the CIA headquarters in Langley.
Yeah, I mean, Job gave him $150,000 to go do this, right?
Right.
Which equates to like $300K now. So he had good money.
Yeah, and they were first class flying. They were doing whatever.
I think the fucking conversation between all of them when he's trying to convince them what they were gonna do was fantastic. Because it was just like he manipulated the shit out of Luther, because Luther's like, bro, you're breaking into the CIA. You can't do that. And he's like, oh, but, and then he points over to the French guy. He's like, you can do it, right? He's like, yeah, give me time. And then Luther breaks down, you got to do A, B, C, D, E, and F. And Ethan's like, so it looks like you just signed yourself up to do it. Oh my God, it was brilliant. Brilliant.
And the whole time Luther was like, but I get to keep the computer when I'm done. And it's weird because, like, if you listen, like me being in the tech world, if you listen to the specs that he lists off for these computers, they are literally like the biggest pieces of garbage. Like, back in the day, they were really good, like really nice computers. But like now, it's like you can't even buy computers with specs like that.
Yeah,
and it's just like 25 years, evidently, right?
Oh, it's so bad.
Yeah.
So now they're on their way to Langley, right?
Yeah. So now this is where Luther explains each step by step on what they have to do. Now they got to implement, and this is where I wrote down. I was like, oh, now things are getting interesting, because this vault is equipped with temperature detection, sound detection, like any little thing is going to set it off.
Yeah, you can't touch the floor.
Temperature, humidity, everything. The next 25 minutes, like after they land and get into the CIA headquarters, like the next 25 minutes of this movie are like really good, in my opinion.
This was the pop culture part of the movie. Everyone, like, this scene where he's on the rope and he's just down like this. This is in like Saturday Night Live. Comedy Central spoofed it. It was like a big scene because of how the anxiety, right? Of like Jesus fucking Christ. And then B, like it wasn't fake. He dangled there, right?
Yeah.
Like his sweat.
And he
fell
used
off
his whole
bonnet.
core and everything to keep himself, and you could like see he's like readjusting his weight to make sure he stays flat the whole time. It's pretty wild.
Yeah. Can we also talk about like the CIA agent who had whatever the fuck laxatives poured in his coffee? That poor man.
Dude, all he's gonna do is
I didn't realize this. I missed this in the movie, but you see it in the trailer where she sprayed that. Yeah. Well, I might have looked away, but I didn't see it because
when she cleans off his blazer, she puts the tracker on him.
Because like I missed that part, so I was like, damn. I was like, why is the CIA agent like crapping his pants? I was like, did she put something? So she does. You see it in the trailer. She squirts like something.
I think it's eye drops. Eye drops are like immediately make you throw up and poop.
Yeah,
or like Ipecac or something she put in there.
Yeah, whatever it is, it worked.
Yeah, so he's dangling over there. Well, first he's almost dangling right above him as he's working, and then that's when he starts throwing up. So he gets down there, and then that rat, the rat almost gets Krieger. Not almost gets him, but like that's nobody likes.
Do we know ahead of time that he has an aversion to like rodents and that this was going to happen, or was this kind of like we're just going to put a rat up there and then we'll make the situation even more tense, or like did we know that he didn't like mice the whole time?
Well, it was a big fucking rat.
The rat was making too much noise. That was the problem because you saw the decibel meter going up as the rat was like clanging on the.
I mean, that's kind of unrealistic because that rat was in the vent. That would have set off that thing any other time, right?
Yeah, but I don't think it was the noise. I think it was more so that it's a fucking rat, right? And B,
and he was like tense like the entire time. He's like shaking, holding that thing up.
Yeah, he was having anxiety over the fact that there was a rat there. But also, practically, if the rat got to the rope, that was it. Ethan was toast, and he wasn't getting out of the vents quick enough.
Right.
So I don't know per se which one of those flags set him off, but as soon as he saw the rat, it was like shaking, sweating, convulsing a little bit. So
but
then we get to it, baby.
Yeah, well, that was crazy. Where like right when that door opened, first off, I was like, "Get him out of there! Get him out!" I'm like, "Lift him up!" And then like he ends up getting up there right when that door opens.
Yeah. So like, here's the thing, right? Is like it felt like this dude at times was like throwing the mission, right? Because it's like it's not hard to lowering him isn't hard, right? But for some reason, like it just felt like he was throwing. Like get him down there, pulling him up. I could see being a bit of a pain in the ass, but like at the same time too, you have a pulley system. He can't weigh that much. Just fucking wrap the thing around it, pull him up.
Yeah,
like,
but like
I don't know.
Also the weird spot is like he's lowering him down real slow before all this. When the guy comes back into the vent and starts throwing up, he pulls him up like wicked quick.
Yeah.
But he's lowering him down like really slow. But then all of a sudden he's like, and he's up.
Yeah, I mean, I get why you want to take your time, but at the same time, you're dealing in intervals of like a minute. Also, quickest download ever for the 90s.
Yeah, they
mainframe.
They didn't have dial-up. I'll tell you that.
Guess not. Someone was not using the telephone.
But these fake firefighters got their list.
Yeah. I mean, also too, like, why is the first thing he did when he pulled him up at the end to reach in and be like, "Give me the disc"? What, are you gonna fucking leave him there? Like, get him the fuck out. Get out of there. Ugh, right. Drops the knife and it almost sets off the fucking alarm.
Yeah.
Frenchie was fucking flat out throwing. He was weird. He was weird.
Yeah, he had a weird vibe the whole time, especially like they
Yeah.
explained at the very beginning that there was not going to be any body count on this mission, and he immediately tries to kill someone.
Yeah.
But
Which plays
yeah,
a huge role. Played a huge role in the movie.
this Krieger was definitely, you knew definitely there was something flaky about him, and I think at the least Hunt knew how to work him, because he ends up tricking him with that floppy disk thing into giving up the list.
And he actually had it the whole time.
Right.
Yeah, that scene to me was really weird, right? Where like everyone has a disc, and you have to try and figure out which one's the real one. And he just gets pissed off and leaves. I would have just sat there and went like, okay, whatever. Like, I just want to know who has it, because he's really quick to reveal it to everyone else.
I think also too he wasn't trying to throw too hard, because at that point it's like, all right, if you're gonna make a big stink about holding the knock list, you're probably gonna get shot in the head.
Yeah,
and
it's like one of those things too. Like he knows, but no one else knows that he knows, right? Is that where we're at with this so far? Because like that's what I got. Like every little thing, like the little Bible thing, and the fact that the guy's wife is still alive, and the knife. He noticed the knife.
So I think
every little thing that he noticed was kind of like
we're at that part in the movie now, right? Where he's already read the Bible, so he knows that Phelps is still alive.
Yep.
So like, unbeknownst to everyone in the audience, right? If you're watching this for the first time, you don't know that he knows all this shit, but he knows that Phelps is alive. He knows that Frenchie killed his number 2
because of the knife,
and he
recognized the knife.
Yep, he recognized the knife in the CIA when he tried to kill someone immediately. He knows Ving Rhames is clear because he found Ving Rhames, so he knows Luther's in
and
the
he's
clear.
blacklisted from the CIA.
Correct. And he doesn't want to give up the knock list. So like he knows that Luther's clear. The only thing he doesn't know at this very moment is what side the girl's on. What side the girl's on, and that's the only variable he hasn't figured out. He knows everything else.
Which is kind of crazy because like if you watch this like without really paying attention to like the little things, you have no idea that he knows this stuff either. You should, but you don't.
Right. The whole movie's done. The movie's done. We have 45 minutes left to film, and he already cracked it. He knows everything.
Yeah.
The only thing he wants to know is if this girl is legit or not, because he wants to rail her.
So this is when he sees Jim at the payphone, right?
Yeah.
And then that's when they do the whole sequence where they explain. He's saying one thing, but then the visuals and like what's in his mind is on the screen showing something else, and you're like, oh, and you just immediately put it together.
Yes. How dope is it? That whole scene.
That scene is amazing.
Where it's like deception to Phelps, but it's also like showing the audience like, don't worry, everything's known.
Clarity to the audience, deception to Phelps.
Right.
I thought that was the best scene.
As soon as Jim turned around, I knew. I didn't put it all together very quickly either, but as soon as I saw Jim, I was like, he's the bad guy.
Oh yeah. You had to know.
First, before he gets to that payphone, I actually love this part because you find out that Kittredge ends up having Ethan's mom and uncle arrested falsely for drug trafficking. And I love this part. I love this part because I think Hunt talks to Kittredge on the payphone. He allows him to trace the call intentionally, but he's like, "Oh, pinning drug trafficking on mom and uncle? You're gonna have to do better than that."
Yeah.
I don't know. Does he let him track because he hangs up the phone before they get?
He let him track that he was in England, but not where in England he was.
Exactly.
Right.
So he hung up after like 35 seconds or whatever it took them to get the track.
Right.
He was timing it.
he knew that he was using the grandfather clock at the train station to time it.
Yeah. And then this is where Phelps unexpectedly resurfaces because he survived. He's saying, "Oh, Kittredge is the mole," but Ethan is pretending to believe him this entire time because he realized that Phelps was the mole because the Bible was taken from the hotel he mentioned at the beginning.
Yeah. What's beautiful too is like Phelps thinks that he's talking to Ethan about Kittredge, but Ethan knows the questions he's asking are he's talking directly to Phelps, and Phelps is just answering it. So he's like, why would Kittredge do this? And Phelps is like, well, sometimes you get fed up and blah 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 blah. And he's like, really? So you just did it over fucking money, guy? All right, got it. And then he tried to figure out, again, the only variable he doesn't know is if the girl is clean or not. And he tried asking, and he said, nope, Claire doesn't know I'm alive. And Ethan's like, that's bullshit. That's bullshit.
Yeah. So then the train.
Yeah,
this is fucking Kittredge gets he just gets a letter that's just 2 tickets to the train. It says, meet me at noon.
Oh, yeah. So the reason for the train meeting is Ethan wants to exchange the list with Max.
But he also, this is when we also realize that he does not want the list released. So like this is more like further evidence that he was only using Max as like a necessary evil. Yeah. Because he puts, like, as we'll find out, he puts people in place to block their phone signals so that they can't transfer things over the World Wide Web or however they're going to do it. So this scene is like pretty kind of crazy too, because he's literally on 3 different sides of this coin. Yeah. This entire train scene.
Yeah, this is really. This is where it gets crazy, even more so, because Ethan is in disguise as Phelps, but Ethan ends up secretly recording Phelps and sends it to Kittredge, and that's where he exposes him as the mole. Like, hey, it's not me. Look who's still alive.
Yeah. So
yeah.
This scene is kind of crazy.
As you're watching it, right? Like, Ethan calls Max. Ethan says, disc's under your chair. How do I meet Job? She puts it in and then says, Job will meet you in the baggage car.
Yep.
So to us, we think, and then Claire says to Ethan, hey, the money's in the baggage car. And Ethan says, I'm right behind you. So we think Claire is going to get to the baggage car before Ethan. Meanwhile, Ethan's been sitting there the whole time with the fucking mask on. Bro. Oh, God.
He says one thing, perfect. and then the chick spills everything.
Did he say anything? I don't think he said anything.
I don't think he said anything. I think you're right.
I think he just sat there and she goes, let's just take the money. We don't have to kill Ethan. Oh, beautiful. Fucking beautiful.
Yeah, and enter John Boy. Claire tries to talk Jim into surrendering, but then Jim kills his own wife. He climbs to the roof of the train.
Well, Jim only kills the wife because Ethan throws the glasses at him and reveals that he's alive to Kittredge.
True. Inadvertently.
Presumably, he heard that she tried to fight for Ethan's life. So I don't think Claire really wanted to go through with this at the end. I think when all was said and done, Claire was still 50-50 and didn't want to do this.
Yeah.
And that's why he killed her, because she was dead weight. And honestly, I don't think he ever planned on keeping her alive, because there's no fucking way she gets off that train the way that that he was.
If you look at it, it's a 2-seated helicopter.
Yeah, so I don't think
she was not part of the plan the whole time.
So Phelps climbs to the roof, and this is where you kind of knew Krieger's waiting with the helicopter.
But we already knew Krieger was a bad douche.
Exactly. Yeah, we knew he was a pilot, and like, all right, he's got to get out of here somehow. So Phelps is trying to climb onto the helicopter with this tether. But this whole sequence was crazy. Like this, I like this part. I was like, all right, this is what I'm here for. I'm like, let's see it.
I thought the weird part of the whole thing, like all of this sort of makes sense, right? Like, okay, we're going to use a helicopter to get out before the tunnel. So he's going to go up, use his suction cup things, whatever. The conductor sees a helicopter right behind them and is like, speed up. What?
If you slow down, it will hit us.
Yeah, but you're the train. Like, it'll move.
Well, all right. So this first up on like Ethan's out there, just suit and tie. There's nothing else. I'm like, no way does he have visibility going that fast.
Probably not.
Like, I'm like, you can't see.
So the
with
craziest
wind
part
going
about
that
this
fast.
this is still a physical stunt. Like this is not the part that's CGI is when the helicopter's in the tunnel. Everything else to this is like filmed actual stunt. Just like in the newer one when he strapped himself to the side of a plane and he actually took off outside of a plane.
Yeah.
Like he does these stunts. He was on top of a bullet train.
Yeah, the whole thing was crazy.
Yeah,
I loved it. But it was just outrageous.
So like this is why like you said you had to watch this in multiple sittings. Like every 20-minute section of this movie, and it's only like an hour and 40-minute movie, an hour and 35-minute movie, gets more and more insane.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like for me it was two big parts of the movie that kept me invested was the vault and the train.
Ethan Hunt,
yeah. But you know what's happening here is as we're talking about it, my feelings for the movie are changing a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm like, you know what?
It's all a matter too. It's all a matter of like the greed, right, of the bad guys, where they easily could have got away with it. They easily would have been gone, even if Kittredge knew he was alive. They easily could have got away with it. They tried so hard to just be fucking greedy that they couldn't do it. Like you either had to kill Ethan Hunt, right, in the baggage car. You had the chance there to kill Ethan Hunt in the baggage car.
And he shot his wife.
You could have killed him before he got to the baggage car, right? You didn't need to wait for him to get there. You could have killed him before he got there. Or C, Frenchie has John Voight. John Voight is on the fucking helicopter. He's just tethered in. I think he's just the chopper is tied in because Ethan Hunt's last stitch effort is to take the hook that they use to get Voight onto the helicopter. He hooks it onto the train. So now the chopper's stuck, right? Instead of trying to cut that free, he leans in the front of the nose of the helicopter to try and kill Ethan Hunt. If he just either A, tries to cut the wire with that, or B, tugs back hard enough.
You know what? He left that knife in the vault. He had nothing to cut it with.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. There's a lot to the end section where you're like, oh, the bad guys could get away with this so easily, and they just freaking didn't.
But and that's like the case with again. It's spoiler alert. It's kind of a foreseeable foreshadowing.
It's
of all
90s story.
Well, no, it's all the Mission Impossibles. Is they have a chance where they can in every single one. The bad guy has a chance to walk away, but they're so determined to beat Ethan that they don't. They're like, no, we can beat him, and they almost never do. Maybe there's one time they do. I'll never tell.
He ends up blowing up that chopper with another piece of juicy fruit.
Yeah, what a fucking callback! I see.
Red light, green light.
They haven't called back to that juicy fruit since this movie, and I'm so pissed about it. I love when
how it feels to chew 5 gum.
And then as soon as Ethan gets onto the helicopter, right? Because obviously the chopper's tethered in. Now he's got to stabilize. So he hops on the helicopter. You hear dun 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 dun, and it's just like, oh fuck yeah, it's about to go down, bro. Yeah. It's like the Avengers music.
Mm-hmm. As soon as it starts, you know. So yeah, that crazy crap happens.
Yep.
Helicopter gets blown up, yada yada. He goes about, does his thing, and then the end of the movie. Call back to the beginning. Ethan Hunt, your mission if you choose to accept it. And then boom,
Yep.
ends. Cool.
But it's the same way that Phelps got it, right? On a plane and everything else. And...
Yeah, when she was like, movie,
Yeah.
and he was like, nah. And she was like, movie.
Yeah.
That was
And
good.
how about this one?
Yeah.
But I will say, like, going forward, if you're gonna watch the Mission Impossibles, Mission Impossible 1, way better than
2.
Mission Impossible 2. You can skip Mission Impossible 2.
3
Like,
is good.
You literally can skip 2 and 3 if you really want to.
But 3
Yeah.
I like 3.
You can go right into the new ones now, and you're not missing anything.
They're all individual plot
Yeah.
storylines.
Yeah, the
With the
first
same
3 are all like standalone.
Mission Impossible 2, like the only thing I know about it is that like Metallica did a song for it.
It's terrible.
That's the only thing I know about it.
It's a terrible movie. If I was
Yeah.
you can watch 3 if you want, but it really doesn't tie into anything else. Like,
Okay.
I would go right into whatever the new one started with.
Yep.
Though that trilogy there, holy shit. You're not ready for it. It's so good.
Yeah. I gotta dive in. I gotta dive into these, leading up to. I mean, still got plenty of time until Dead Reckoning Part 1 next year.
I mean,
yeah.
I would honestly say too that this movie started the snowball that killed the James Bond franchise.
Yeah.
This movie, I think, is a top 10 movie from the 90s. And I also think that this is probably one of the better casts, even though it doesn't use it. So I would say this cast is like a top 10 cast for the 90s. Not top 5. It's not perfect. I think Titanic is probably the best cast you'll ever have in a movie. But I would say it's a top 10 cast. And it's one that they didn't need everyone to really participate for it to be good. Like, John Voight was only in the movie, I think, for like 7 minutes. I don't think he was in it for very long. Emilio Estevez was arguably the biggest star, other than maybe Tom Cruise going into this movie. He was only in it for 5 minutes. It's
Right.
just, it's really like a really well-used cast, I think. I think this movie out of 10 is like a solid 8.5, possibly 9, depending on how you want to spin it.
Oh, man. Yeah, because I'm looking at it. Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, and then Fallout.
Yep.
What a great 3-movie series, to be honest.
Bro, if you're ever like, damn, I want to watch something different that I've never seen, you get action, you get suspense, and none of them are really gooey love. Like, I don't remember a ton of romance. There's some.
Isn't Fallout the one that Henry Cavill had to have a mustache for?
Yeah.
And that was fucking with the Superman thing?
Yeah, Justice League.
Yeah.
But
I think it's so funny that Henry Cavill is Superman and chooses the Fallout scripted movie over his duties as Superman.
He didn't have a choice.
I know. I just think it's awesome.
He was told, in all fairness, he was told he was done with Justice League.
I know. So that's kind of like his backhand to them, right? But at the same time, he's like, yeah, I know I'm Superman and everything, but like,
he already got paid for Justice League. He's like, this movie's a train wreck. I ain't throwing my Mission Impossible money.
Yep. He's like, figure this out because I'm not cutting it off.
Yeah. John, as a new person to the franchise, I highly recommend. Fallout is so good. You really need to watch those ones. It's that good.
Yeah. I'm gonna watch them all.
Oh, so good.
I don't know how long it'll take, but I'm gonna watch them all.
Once you start Ghost Protocol, I guarantee you don't put them down.
Nice.
They're good. Anyway, what did you guys think of the movie?
Yeah.
I thought it was really good. It's a movie of the period. So today, the rewatch is really good. I think the story's really good. I think Ethan Hunt is like a really dynamic character. But the movie itself could have benefited from just a little bit. Like better cinematography. The soundtrack is good. The star power is really good. I think a lot of the intimate dialogue is really good. Some of the other stuff, not so much. I think it's a really good movie.
Yeah. What are you gonna shoot? All right. So I think George already did his. George said 8 out of 10 for him.
8.5 maybe.
All right.
I'm a 7.5.
Yeah, for me, I had a rating going into this that I was gonna stick with, but talking about it now and like getting into it better, and it helped me wrap my head around maybe some stuff that I missed throughout the movie. So I'm gonna say a 7. I'll say 7 out of 10. It's
And let's
not
be
the
clear,
rate.
the only reason why I'm at a 7.5 is because they were in such a rush to replace characters in this movie because they killed the tech guy and they needed another tech guy, and I think Vin Rames is good.
Yeah.
But like they replace him too later because he's really not that good. So like I feel like they
Wait,
made
what? No,
yeah.
no, they don't replace Ving Rhames.
Is he in Ghost?
Yup.
Did I miss that?
Yeah. So
I don't love the secondary casting in this movie. I thought that the first casting was good. I don't know.
Luther is a huge part of
Yeah,
Mission
I'm remembering
Impossible.
now. I have to go back and watch the later
Luther,
ones. Yeah.
Luther is from the
Oh yeah,
moment
he's in a lot of these.
he's in all of them. From the
All of
moment
them. Yeah.
Ethan brings him in, dude, he was in the new trailer. Hello?
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. My bad.
From the moment Ethan brings
Cool.
him in, Luther is the moral compass for Ethan. The
Yeah.
entire trilogy, or the entire franchise, he's always the moral compass for Ethan.
I will say, I think the secondary casting could have been better.
Who would you rather see over Ving Rhames? Really, when you say secondary casting, he's the only secondary cast member that survives the fucking movie. So
So I
Picture's
know.
just fucking perfect.
I don't know what it is, but like Luther, I don't know. He like just doesn't fit with.
Let's be honest. Ving Rhames was the badass black guy from the 90s. He was. It's fucking Marcellus Wallace, baby.
Wesley Snipes.
Do you really think they could have afforded Wesley Snipes?
No. But I'm saying he was the badass black guy, right?
Well, yeah, wasn't he doing Blade in 95? So I don't think he would have been Wesley Snipes. But yeah, Wesley Snipes would have been interesting. I don't think he would have looked cool on a computer, though.
I mean, the hell's his name?
I'm not saying it's a perfect casting, but off the top of your head, when you say secondary casting, I don't know if you can do better.
I think, but like my thing about him is like I don't see him as like the tech guy. I see him as like a moral compass guy, but I don't see him as like a hands-off guy. You know what I mean? I don't know.
That's fine.
I don't know.
I think Luther is like a huge teddy bear the entire time, but he can beat the shit out of someone. So like in the beginning when they started this franchise, it wasn't very. You needed someone who, in a fight, they could win, and you see that in the second one a lot. Is like Ving Rhames has to fight.
Yeah.
And now as we progressed,
and you people are hands off.
Simon Pegg is hands off. He's the only one who's hands off. But
now
like
he
then
gets
you bring
dragged
in. He eventually asks to be brought in, and he still doesn't fight that much until one of the movies, and then he doesn't win a fight. But they bring in Jeremy Renner, they bring in Alec Baldwin, they bring in Henry Cavill, they bring in guys who like you could believe that they would beat the ever living piss out of someone. So I think that's kind of the theme that they use there. So
okay,
it is what it is.
I feel like there could have been better characters. I just don't know who would have signed on to it, I guess.
Yeah, the 90s is going back 30 years is tough to kind of pick that apart.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. But I thought it was good. I'll give it a 7.5.
And John gives it a 7.
Yeah, I'll say so. That's not the rating I went in with. So this episode kind of turned me around a little bit.
I think it's still a top 10 movie from the 90s.
Yeah.
If we're talking blockbuster movies, I think this is better. I know it financially didn't make as much as Twister because I don't think it's as family friendly as Twister, but I think it's a better movie than Twister. I think it's a better movie than, well, that's a lie. Never mind, I won't say that. But I think it's a better movie than
I
Twister.
want to know what you were thinking.
No, you don't. I won't say it out loud.
The Nutty Professor.
I was gonna say Independence Day, and then I had to catch myself. I was like, no, don't be crazy. But I do think if we're talking about revolutionary movies from the 90s, you have Titanic, you have Armageddon, you have Independence Day. I don't think, Forrest Gump. I don't think in Mission Impossible 1 is that far off this list.
Yeah, and the funny thing is like I wouldn't say that there's like a James Bond from the 90s that's a revolutionary movie. I wouldn't say that.
The only one that you could even argue is GoldenEye because of how big it was. It was a big movie.
Yeah, but that was a
terrible.
global phenomenon for more than just the movie, though. It was like there was the music, there was it was the first time that a BMW was used, and then they pulled their rights. So like there was like a lot of things that happened in GoldenEye that changed the progression of what James Bond is. But like name like a spy movie that was revolutionary, or like a lot of spy movies are like spoofs or funny, or there's not a ton of serious spy movies.
I feel like they probably said, all right, we can't do better than this.
Yeah, no, that's probably true.
Yeah, I mean this movie, yeah. If we're talking, you can't beat the classics. This is a classic that I think should get a fresh score.
Yeah,
for sure. And I think it ages better. It ages better the more of these movies you see, and you see how they build off of it, and they don't change anything.
Yeah,
they still keep the opening montage. Will tell you the entire film before you've even seen it. Ethan Hunt is still the same guy, very calculated, very risk taking, and it's just it's a good building block.
I agree with that.
I mean, you'd even argue that there's no franchise that came out of the 90s that had a better first film than Mission Impossible, other than Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
that's the only one.
Yeah, that'd be another big. That'd be the big one, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, all right, that's our thoughts on the first Mission Impossible. Whether we do the other ones, yeah, we kind of got to go in order, but I mean, we'll see. But yeah, let us know what your thoughts are in the comments. Now we're gonna get to the interesting part of the episode.
The
Wheel of Doom. Yeah.
The Wheel of Doom. What year are we doing, John?
Let's see. Let's pull up the wheel. I got every year between now and 1991. Let's spin the wheel, see what we're working with.
Something newer. Come on.
Ooh, 2007. Okay. I'll take it. All right, so let's find our movies from 2007, narrow it down, and we'll have an episode for you. So end it there. Thanks for listening. See you guys later.
Peace.